Today, Thursday, May 7th, the document changed hands in Islamabad. Iran handed its reply to Pakistan. Pakistan will now carry it to Washington. President Trump said this morning that the talks have been very good, that a deal is possible, that he is optimistic. The document Iran sent has 14 points. I have read them carefully. 1. Of those 14 points is missing the most important one, the one Washington has called a red line since February, what Iran is offering, what America cannot accept, and why this matters to you. That is what we are going to examine today before we continue for things. Subscribe to Respect Be, not because I ask you to, but because today's document exchange in Islamabad may be the most consequential diplomatic moment since this war began. The bell ensures you hear it first. Share this video with one person, someone who heard Trump say very good talks and assumed the deal is close. What Iran's actual proposal says will change that assumption entirely. Give it a like and leave a comment. Tell me where in the world you are watching from, your city, your country. Now let us examine what actually happened. Iran is expected to hand over its reply today, Thursday, to mediators about the U.S. proposal to end the war. That handover is happening right now. As you watch this, Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baghai said the U.S. proposal is still under review, and Tehran will convey its response to mediator Pakistan after finalizing its views. According to Iran's Tasnim news agency, the 14-point plan was formulated in response to a 9-point US plan. I want to walk you through what Iran is asking for, because the gap between what Iran wants and what America demands is not small. It is not a negotiating gap, it is a canyon. Iran's key demands include a resolution of all issues and an end to the war within 30 days, guarantees against future military aggression, the withdrawal of US forces from Iran's periphery, an end to the naval blockade, the release of frozen Iranian assets, payment of reparations, the lifting of sanctions, an end to fighting in Lebanon, and a new mechanism governing the Strait of Hormuz. Read that list again. Reparations, payment of reparations from the United States for the war it launched, withdrawal of American forces from the entire region surrounding Iran, a new mechanism for the Strait of Hormuz, meaning Iran keeps a controlling voice over who passes and who does not. These are not negotiating positions designed to find middle ground. These are the demands of a country that genuinely believes it has not lost this war. But here is what nobody told you about the single thing missing from those 14 points, and that is where this gets truly alarming. There is no mention of Iran's nuclear program in those 14 demands, not one word. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghai said, in a direct quote carried by state media, "At this stage, we do not have nuclear negotiations." This is an apparent reference to Iran's proposal to set aside talks on nuclear issues until after the war ends and the two sides agree to lift opposing blockades of Gulf shipping. Let me be direct about something. The nuclear program is not a side issue in this conflict, it is the issue. It is the reason Trump authorized Operation Epic Fury in February. It is the reason American and Israeli jets flew over Iranian skies on the night of the 28th. It is the reason the supreme leader is dead. It is the reason 6,668 civilian structures in Iran were targeted in the first week of fighting alone. The entire premise of this war, stated publicly, repeatedly, by the President of the United States, is that Iran will not be permitted to develop a nuclear weapon, and Iran's peace proposal does not address that premise at all. Trump told PBS News that the terms of a potential deal would include Tehran shipping its enriched uranium stockpile to the United States and pledging not to operate its underground facilities. That is Washington's floor. That is the minimum, and Iran's 14-point document does not come close to it. A senior Iranian official said Tehran believes its proposal to shelve nuclear talks for a later stage was a significant shift aimed at facilitating an agreement. Under this framework, negotiations over the more complicated nuclear issue have been moved to the final stage to create a more conducive atmosphere, the official said. I want you to think carefully about what that means. Iran is asking America to end the war, lift the blockade, withdraw its forces, release frozen assets, and pay reparations first. And then, afterwards, in a later phase, in a more conducive atmosphere, perhaps we can discuss the nuclear question. This is not a compromise. This is a sequencing strategy designed to extract maximum concessions before the only concession America actually wants is ever placed on the table. President Trump said this morning he had very good talks with Iran over the past 24 hours and that it's very possible we'll make a deal. I do not doubt that the talks were good. I do not doubt that both sides prefer talking to fighting, but there is a difference between good talks and a good deal, and that difference matters enormously because about 1,600 ships are still stuck in the Strait of Hormuz, and shipping companies face an expensive and risky situation, looking for windows of opportunity to leave the waterway after more than 2 months. Trump's Project Freedom operation aimed at guiding stranded ships through the strait lasted exactly 48 hours. Only 2 ships were guided through. Now, on their own again, companies are unwilling to bear the risk of transit. 2 ships in 48 hours. Then the operation paused. The strait is not open. The ships are not moving. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz is possible under new procedures, meaning Iran's own vetting process, Iran's own approval, and in some cases, Iran's own payment. And here is the trap that nobody is naming plainly. Trump has told the world repeatedly, on camera, on Truth Social, to Congress that Iran will not be permitted to have a nuclear weapon, that this is non-negotiable, that this is a red line. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is currently holding talks with Trump administration officials to better understand the latest developments. In the negotiations, according to an Israeli source, Israel is concerned about potential last-minute US concessions. Israel is watching, nervous, worried that the pressure of 1,600 stranded ships, $6 gasoline, and a public that is 68% opposed to this war might push Trump toward a deal that leaves Iran's nuclear infrastructure intact, and they may be right to be worried, because the trap Trump is in is this: the economic pressure to end this conflict is enormous and growing, but accepting a deal that defers the nuclear question is not ending the war, it is pausing it, for Iran to build what it was building when the bombs first fell in February. I want to name a specific man in this story before we close. His name is Angad Banga. He is the CEO of the Caravel Group, the company that oversees the world's second-largest ship management company. He manages the vessels and crews of tens of thousands of civilian seafarers. He said something this week that I have not been able to stop thinking about. He said, even if an agreement is reached, it may take time for political statements and military initiatives to translate into safe, workable operating conditions for vessels and crews in crowded and contested waters. In the meantime, tens of thousands of civilian seafarers continue to operate under risks they did not choose, and global trade depends on them. Their safety and well-being must remain a priority at every stage of the response. Risks they did not choose. That phrase is the moral center of this entire conflict. The sailors did not choose this war. The Indian workers at the Fujairah oil terminal did not choose this war. The children in way classrooms doing remote learning did not choose this war. The American family paying $6 a gallon in California did not choose this war. They are all paying the price of a disagreement between governments over a nuclear program that may or may not be months away from a weapon that may or may not be used. Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Ghalibaf posted audio messages warning Iranians of hard times ahead, calling frugality a missile that people can fire into the heart of the enemy, and urging all citizens to practice saving and encourage others to do the same. The Iranian government is asking its own people to treat thrift as warfare. Both governments in Washington and in Tehran have made decisions. Their citizens and the sailors of 87 nations are absorbing the consequences. That is the reality of what is being negotiated in Islamabad today, not just a document, not just 14 points, the price of every day it takes to resolve them. There is a document in Islamabad today, 14 points, carefully worded, deliberately sequenced, missing the one thing Washington came to war to achieve. I am not telling you the deal will fail. I genuinely do not know. Trump said on Wednesday he was optimistic but acknowledged the U.S. has been down this road before. Yeah, I think so, but I felt that way before with them, so we'll see what happens, he said. That sentence is the most honest thing said about this conflict in weeks. We have been here before. We know what optimism without a nuclear clause is worth. 1,600 ships, tens of thousands of sailors, $6 gasoline, schools closed in Dubai, a ceasefire that both sides keep violating, a nuclear program nobody has agreed to dismantle, and a 14-point document that does not mention the word nuclear once. Somewhere in Islamabad, a Pakistani diplomat is reading it right now. The world is waiting. This is Respect B. Tell me in the comments where in the world you are watching from today.